Do you know whose it is? Do you know the person who's created SaveWisdom.org, or did you?
I know him from social media.
Okay.
And I've listened to a couple of podcasts where he appeared on, not necessarily about Save Wisdom, but a very, very interesting character.
Who is it?
Brian Rommelen. I think
Okay.
that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
But he is definitely worth a follow on X.
X, yeah.
He is very, I think, well informed, in my opinion. Um, and I think it's the project that he launched here, the Save Wisdom project. It's got some merit. I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of recording your own wisdom. So initially, I thought, do we all really have wisdom to contribute to
Maybe not
to
all.
you see exactly? But then I think to myself, wow, you know what? Everyone and their unique life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some wisdom
Yeah.
in everyone. And maybe that wisdom is not for you and me, but in terms of their own family context, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I do think that there is a hell of a lot of wisdom that is worth saving. I also think that if we look at, some of the archaeological stuff that we've uncovered and either think we understand or came to a theory, but we're not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the things that you see, for example, the pyramids. I mean, there's still a hell of a lot of conjecture about how the pyramids was built.
Yeah.
And you get these enormous structures around the world, and more of them are uncovered. And there's some, what is it, infrared or um, LiDAR images of the Amazon forest, and it shows that there are cities, so many, many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot more happening there. Um, and, and a lot of information has been lost through time. Now, maybe, maybe those guys all sat with a similar project and we just haven't uncovered it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what some of these I don't know, hieroglyphics, some of these things are. And maybe it is far-fetched to think that if we save all this wisdom in electronic format now, that it will be available for future generations. I don't know. But maybe a good starting point is for everyone to go and answer some of these questions because
Yeah.
they're hard questions. Did you look at them?
I had a little squeeze through some of them, and I was thinking, I don't know how I would answer the few that I picked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
a
that
thousand questions, right?
it's 1,000
Okay.
questions, yes.
Yeah.
And the purpose of this is not to answer all the questions in one go.
Mm.
And I also think it's possible to go back and answer questions a second or a
Again.
third time.
Yeah.
Because I think if you answer a section or some of the questions, that'll get you thinking.
Yes. So have you done this exercise?
I have not done the exercise
Okay.
for exactly the same reason you mentioned. I sat And I thought, okay, I'm going to start
Yeah.
without having an offline device as he recommends. So in other words, nothing that is connected to the internet. So you can keep this information private,
Okay.
okay? And it doesn't end up in anybody else's.
It's like an
Um,
old-fashioned dictaphone kind of thing.
correct,
Okay.
correct. But then you know, we're already at that point where these large language models are available for offline use. So you can
Mm-hmm.
install one and train it on your information, etc., etc. And so, so I thought, well, let me look at the list and let me start answering the questions, you know.
Mm-hmm. Do you mean with your
And
voice, or do you mean written down or in your
well,
head?
initially I thought I can just record it on my notes
Okay.
app
Yeah.
or whatever. But then I had the same realization you had. Shit, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
There's some of those questions I don't know how to, but maybe there's some of those that I don't feel I'm ready to answer yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not ready to share exactly how I feel
Mm-hmm.
or what my experiences were, etc. So, and from that point, I think even that realization is is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the fact that you've looked at the question and thought about the fact that you can't answer it right now means that the question is in your head and you're thinking about it. So
Yes,
at some point, you should
yes.
hopefully be able to answer it.
Are there tough ones that stood out for you? Where you feel like, okay, well, I'm not ready to go there yet,
There were quite a few
or
about like purpose and spirituality and
so. So those questions, I think, you know, I'm happy to say something to the effect of, you know what, that at, at this time in my life, I do not have an opinion about that,
yeah,
or I feel like purpose is highly overrated, or whatever the case may be.
yeah.
So those I don't really find too hard to. What is your
I
question
mean,
number one?
I was going to say the first question.
The very first question on this thing. So I like the way that this is kind of um, in different sections,
Yeah, they give them categories, kind of.
categories,
Yeah.
yes. So the very first question, what is your most treasured childhood memory? Can you answer that? I can't.
No, there's not a single memory that stands out as my most treasured. I have treasured childhood memories, but I don't have a, like I say, there's not one I can think of that stands out as,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. Um, what is the most important lesson life has taught you?
I can answer that,
Okay.
but it's still teaching me. It's a lesson that I
Okay.
feel like I,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah. Okay, maybe there's two things there for me. I'm happy to share them. The
Okay.
the one is patience. Um, that's a lesson I feel like I'm still learning. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I quite like to have the answers now for things that I'm thinking about, and learning that things don't always come when you want them. And then the second one, maybe it's related, is you can't plan everything. So uh, I'm a planner. I like to know what's happening in my life. I like to organize
Yeah.
things. But I've gotten very comfortable, and I'm actually really enjoying this about my life, that I can't plan everything. And I just take every day for what it is. And I can plan some things, but
Mm.
I can't plan everything. So I think those are two huge lessons for me in life.
Okay. Jeez. Okay. That's um, the question that I see in so many forms or kind of similar type of questions is that one that says, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
um, Stop giving so much of a shit about other people.
I think everybody can relate to that, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it is such a common theme
Yeah.
where people feel that I have, and when we've spoken about this because of the way that we are brought up, and that's the right. Don't be selfish,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So that's definitely something I think most people can relate to.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think maybe another good one is the world doesn't revolve around you. Because it's one of the things I was telling you about that I've always struggled with throughout my life is feeling guilty for everything I do and every decision I make, like I'm letting people down. And people weren't that affected by the decisions I made in life or the things that I did. So,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me that one is about truth.
Mm-hmm.
Truth and being truthful, being true to yourself and true to what you believe in.
Yeah.
Um, and I suppose it's just a different way of saying not, give too much of yourself to other people,
Yeah.
but really stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a phrase you used many years ago that has stuck with me as well as being unapologetically you. Um,
yes.
and actually, a friend of mine pointed that out with me the other day. I sent her a voice note and she just replied and said, I just love how unapologetically you are and how you're just yourself. And I thought that was a nice compliment. It's like my best compliment. And I feel
Mm.
very happy that someone acknowledged that about me and that is who I am.
Yeah, excellent. So,
Yeah.
so that is something that I wish I had learned
Yeah.
much, much, much earlier in my
Same.
life. And then I've got to ask this one as well. We're obviously not going to go through the thousand questions, but I have to.
Maybe
What
we can
false,
for the next, I don't
what,
know how many episodes.
what false belief did you shed that liberated you? That is also quite a difficult. Well, no, that is actually something I can write a book about.
Yeah.
False beliefs. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think maybe this is a quite a cool exercise. Maybe we can pick a few questions and go through them.
I in the next section, there's one that really grabs me, um, which I find extremely difficult to answer,
Yeah.
and that is the one that says, "What brings you true happiness?"
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because I think about it too abstract a way. But is that something that you can answer in terms of what brings you true happiness?
Um, I don't know if I could sum it up into one little thing. The first thing
Because
that sprang to my mind was unexpected moments, um, which I think ties into my lesson learned that I can't plan everything, which is the times that I feel happiest are when something happens that I wasn't expecting.
like a car crash, for
No,
example.
no,
Oh, no.
no,
I just thought I'd clarify
not like
that.
that.
That's also an unexpected moment.
No, I don't know.
I suppose one of the reasons why I struggle with that is because happiness is an emotion.
Yeah,
It's not a state. So I don't know. It is like you say, it could be today, it could be, for me, most days it will be ice cream. But but it can be something as silly as that. So I kind
yeah,
of find that difficult to maybe I'm looking at these things for shorter answers.
yo. I
And
suppose if you've
that,
got a recording device in front of you, you can go on for an hour on
mm,
what brings you happiness.
yeah. Hmm.
I don't think I could answer any of these in a sentence,
Yeah.
except for the what advice would you give your younger self, and don't give a shit about other people so much.
But then again, it is such an important thing that you may want to expand a
I
little
know.
bit. So if you think about this in terms of, who will this be
Yeah.
valuable for or valuable to. So um, I don't know. It's like, don't you think it would have been useful to have
Yeah.
a similar kind of thing from your grandparents, great grandparents, and their parents?
Yeah.
You could go back a couple of generations like that. People that have lived through um, these really important periods in our history, like the Industrial Revolution,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. The questions would, I wonder if the questions would have been the same. I haven't really looked at the questions if they would be, um, I suppose they would make sense, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if you give this to somebody who lives in a little rural village in wherever, that have never seen a TV or the internet or whatever,
Yeah.
would
They
can
would
you ask these
probably
questions?
they'd probably struggle with if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Because they only know what they know.
Well, maybe it would be a hell of a lot easier for
Yeah.
them to answer than
Right here.
for, yes, yeah. So, oh, what is your favorite book? Why
Yes.
did it speak to you? I feel like, that's a very difficult one to answer for me. I always got to guide against the recency bias.
Yes.
Um, although I suppose that's, yeah, maybe Ricardo Semler. Ricardo Semler, I feel, is um, the 7 Day Weekend or
Yes.
Maverick. Um, maybe out of all of the business books that I've ever read, and that must have been one of the first ones that I ever read.
Hmm.
It's probably the thing that set me on the path of trying to improve and get better at these things and so on. But I still think that that's the
I
best
haven't
one.
read those, so I should.
So,
That's a good recommendation. So if it comes highly recommended, I should probably give them a read.
yeah, I would almost recommend reading, although it was the second book, maybe reading The 7 Day Weekend first.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the way that our no, there's still a hell of a lot of value in that book. Yeah, maybe read the 7 Day Weekend first, and then read Maverick if it resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a lot of duplication,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, this guy was I don't know, decades ahead of his time, and in Brazil of all places. Um, but fascinating, yeah. So maybe that's not such a difficult question. Um, some of them are really easy to answer. What positive habits have improved your life? I
Yeah.
mean, what energizes you and makes you excited to start your day? Difficult one. Maybe not.
What is your
Maybe not.
greatest fear?
Yeah, I don't know. Um, wait, maybe I do. See, it's one of that's one of those where mm, I'm not sure if I want my grandchildren with, what? Grandpa was afraid of that?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Maybe if I spend a little bit of time and I think about how to phrase it properly.
Well, this is the thing then. I mean, it does come down to ego again, doesn't it? When you start questioning whether you want people to know this thing
Mm,
about you.
true.
Um, I would also struggle going through some of these, wondering, oh, if my brother heard this, or if my boyfriend heard this, or if I don't know. Like, I think there probably will be some fear about certain people hearing the answers to some of these questions.
Yeah, I also think it's a question of making sure that you articulate it well enough
Mm-hmm.
so that something could not be, you know, interpreted in a different way than you intended.
Yeah.
Here's another one that I always find very difficult to answer. And in fact, I tried to answer it this morning. I did I did a completed a questionnaire from clearerthinking.org or something like that. Um, I can't even remember what it was about. But anyway, I had a bit of time early this morning, so I figured, let me go check this out and see what is the value of it and what is the output that it generates and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would constitute a perfect day for you? I
Mm.
find this a little bit of a bullshit question.
I also find it difficult because it would change. So what I did on Saturday that was perfect for me, I enjoyed my whole day on Saturday. If I did that tomorrow, it might have a very different effect and not feel like a perfect day,
Hmm. Hmm.
depending where my mind is and the things that happen that are accidental, that are unexpected. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exactly the way that you described it now. I don't think that there's one specific routine that would, you know what, if I can live my life like this
Yeah,
every single day, that it would be perfect. In fact, I think that that is the best way to ruin it
exactly. Yeah,
is
it's like a song
is
that you
to have
like and you
this
listen to it too many
perfect day.
times.
Exactly, yes.
So I just want to say Saturday was actually a perfect day for me, and I posted it on social media and I said what a perfect day, and it was a really
Okay.
gloomy, grey, miserable day here, and my
Yeah.
sister-in-law messaged me saying, "Are you being sarcastic?" which I thought was really funny because my emotions didn't translate to the picture that I posted and the things
Okay.
that I said because it was something I was feeling inside. It was such a perfect day. I can't even describe how happy and energized and wonderful I felt. Um,
Fantastic.
and I tried to share that with people, and it didn't come across. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister-in-law
It
said
is
because I was in the sea and I posted a thing of the waves
okay.
going over my feet, and I'd said perfect day, and she said, "Is the water really dirty? Are you being sarcastic?" I said, "No, I'm being serious."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So just shows that
yeah,
it doesn't have to be something expensive or
no,
out of the ordinary, special or whatever. And a lot of that has to do with how you feel.
yeah.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Oh my goodness, what harsh life lessons taught you the most? What harsh life lessons taught you the most?
Hmm.
Oh, here's one, especially for you. How do you handle shame and guilt? Have you made peace with your past?
mm. It's a work in
Mm.
progress.
Yeah, so those I think I can answer.
Yeah.
In terms of spending a little bit of time and organizing your thoughts and so on. I have a feeling that if I get a device like this and it's so easy to record and so on, that I will
Mm.
spend a hell of a lot of time
Yeah.
on this thing,
Yeah.
and that I will go find question 49, erase that answer, or add the following to that answer
Yeah.
as I kind of continue with this, you know. So it might become a little bit of a, um, you know, maybe a little bit all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Um, oh, there's some tough ones here.
I think we should
What
make it a
personality
series, Herman.
traits?
I think we should
Okay,
spend an
we're gonna have
an
to.
an episode, on each Maybe that'll be too long. Maybe it's an episode on each question. I don't know. I don't know how you.
An episode on each question. Oh my word, that will be too long. I think if we kind of pick a couple of these sections
Mm-hmm.
and then pick some of these
Questions out of the
questions.
sections.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that because I think there'll be some really valuable lessons for me to learn from this.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking to
Um,
myself, I might want to start going through these and asking myself the questions again. And then I thought it is quite nice to do it in this format where we can discuss them and share some of our learnings. Obviously, some of them will be quite personal, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We can, when we get there, we can say, I'm not comfortable sharing this widely right now, but.
Correct, correct. But I do think that just spending a little bit of time on each of these things, whether you end up doing the full 1,000 question, save it for um, I don't know, for whoever, um, or we just go through these things and kind of think about some of these because we both have questions that we think are really hard to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one or two of them I've already now that we just kind of glossed
Yeah,
over. It's like, well, maybe it's not that hard to answer. Maybe I
yeah,
do have an opinion about it. And maybe if I change my mind in 5 years' time, then it's okay. Then
yeah.
um,
It is
I'm
okay
happy to.
because if you're the same person in 5 years as you are right now, then you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. That
You're
is
not
very,
growing.
that's that's very true. So maybe it is something to kind of do now and then put something in the calendar for in 5 years. Better review this
Yeah, exactly.
because if it's still the same, and maybe there are some of them and maybe some sections where one would feel like, okay, you know what, here would be a good benchmark to see that I'm actually um, I do have principles and values and that sort of thing, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of one of the questions that I saw here, which I thought, ooh, I'm going to have to think deep about this because it wanted, I think, 5 values or something like that. Okay, I like it.
Okay,
Which
next
section
week,
are we?
should we
Which
not go in
section?
order or do you want to go random?
We can go in order. I'm sure it was created in a specific order.
Yeah, so let's start with early life and formative experiences.
Oh my goodness. By the way, this is the third revision, if I remember correctly. The
Okay,
third revision of
so
them,
they
because
update the questions.
they update that as they get feedback from people who maybe we can come up with our own questions as well to suggest to them to help save the
Interesting.
wisdom.
I'm just going ahead to like 500. I want to see what that section is on. Oh, see, oh, that's
Really?
interesting because I think section 4 or something was relationships, and then in question 511 is relationships again. So
Oh,
it's what
is it a
marriage or
different
life
type of?
partnership has been most profoundly meaningful for you? What friendships have stayed steady through life's ups and downs?
Hmm. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I see what you mean. Yeah, because it looks to me like some of these sections repeat as well.
Yeah, so maybe they do, like we just said, they do expect you to change. So once you get to the next section, maybe they'll ask some similar questions or something a bit different. And
Wow.
this is going
Okay.
to be a fun exercise.
And eventually, when you get to 1,000 and you've got your own little large language model, can then point out the inconsistencies in your answers
And either say you were
for me.
lying or you grew. You changed.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.